It is 7:01, and I'm calling the Environmental and Natural Resources Commission to order. And we'll do a quick roll call here. There are some new faces here, and so...
Madam Chair, I could call the names if
Yes, that would
you're
be...
unfamiliar.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, staff.
Commissioner Edwards.
Here.
Commissioner Gill.
Present.
Commissioner Bryan.
Here.
Commissioner Lates.
Here.
And Commissioner Redmond.
Here.
And Commissioner Broadnax will not be present, and I have not heard from Commissioner Miller.
Okay, thank you very much. So moving on, you've all had an opportunity to review the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as written?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
before you move on, may I add 2 items, please?
Yes, please, go ahead, staff.
Thank you. So I realized with our new commissioners, we have to do the oath of office for
Okay.
the new commissioners. So I would like to add that right after approval of agenda, so that would be 3A, I guess. And then one other item I wanted to put under staff presentations, and this would be item F.
Okay.
Earth Week Challenge. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you very much, staff. So there have been some additions to the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
I'll make a motion. I'll second.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Gill and Commissioner Redmond. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, no objections. And then also approval of minutes. We've got a few meetings that we have not had a full quorum for that, so we've got some outstanding meetings from November 30th as well as November 30th, I think it's supposed to be 2022, not 2023.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. And then January 25th, 2023. And staff, can you clarify this should be voted upon by commissioners that were sworn in for those times?
Normally that is standard operating procedure, but I've been in other meetings where new people just vote on the minutes,
Okay.
as long as you've read them. Or you can abstain if you weren't at the meeting.
Okay. Well, put forward a motion to approve the minutes from the November 30th, 2022 and January 25th meetings.
Perhaps we could take those separately?
Separately, okay.
Yeah.
Approve the minutes from November 30th, 2022.
And Madam Chair, I'm sorry. We do need a motion and
Oh.
a second.
Yes. I guess what I meant to say is, do we have a motion to approve the minutes from November 30th of 22?
I'll move.
Commissioner Redmond? Seconded by Commissioner Gill. So all in favor? Aye. Okay. And then we need a second motion to approve the minutes from January 25th of 2023.
I'll motion.
All right, put forth by Commissioner Gill, and I'll second on this one just for fun. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right. So those fall.
I abstained just because I was not at the meeting. So.
Okay, thank you for abstaining, or thank you for mentioning that, Commissioner Redmond. So then moving on to new business, tennis sanitation recycling collection annual review.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the commission. So,
Excuse me.
yes.
I forgot, we.
Me too.
We have an amended agenda that we need to,
Right.
before moving on.
Silly us, okay. Thank you for remembering
Well,
this very important task we have to take
it
care of
is a
here.
very important task.
Okay, so, here we are. So, pursuant to state statute, section 358.05, all elected or appointed officials must swear an oath of office prior to conducting or participating in any business of the commission or board. And so tonight we do have 2 new commissioners, Commissioner Edwards and Commissioner Lates, and we will be swearing them in. So I did hand them this oath of office, and I'll read that off. And if they could repeat after me with your hands up, and then your right hand up, and then we'll have you sign it, and it's official. You're in. You ready? Okay. I,
I,
and your name,
Nancy Edwards,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Minnesota,
and of the state of Minnesota,
and faithfully discharge duties of the office of Commissioner of the Environmental and Natural Resources Commission
faithfully discharge the duties of the office of the Commissioner of the Environmental and Natural Resources Commission
in the city of Maplewood,
in the city of Maplewood,
in the county of Ramsey,
in the county of Ramsey,
and the state of Minnesota,
and in the state of Minnesota,
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability.
Very good. Thank you so much. You're official. Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't think your mic was on when you spoke, but we get the idea. All right. Thank you, Commission, for your attention here. So tonight we have two items under new business. We will be hearing from both of our haulers for trash and recycling and their annual review. And I have kind of combined the presentation, but we'll pause at the end of the recycling portion, and we'll hear from Tennis Sanitation. We have some representatives here from Tennis, and then we'll continue on to Republic Services, and then we'll pause, and then maybe comments and feedback at the end for the commission. So I have a short presentation here for you. So to begin with, I just kind of want to give you an overarching view of Maplewood's solid waste program. You know, it does meet the city's strategic plan relevance in 3 areas, including environmental stewardship. So we're using best management practices to reduce waste and protect air quality, water quality, and natural resources with our solid waste program. Operational effectiveness, protecting public health and safety and promoting city cleanliness and livability, and then financial and asset management. So this program allows us to manage the city's solid waste in a cost-effective manner. And we'll go over our strategic plan. The City Council reviews those yearly and updates them based on, you know, the times. And so I think right now we have 6. So this clearly meets a majority of those strategic plan relevance. So the contracts with both haulers, I'll discuss briefly here. The residential recycling contract is with Tennis Sanitation, and it covers single-family homes and then all multifamily homes. So all the residential properties in the city of Maplewood are covered by the city's residential recycling program. They also service city facilities and parks, and in the contract, small businesses and churches can also opt into the program, which is a nice benefit to save money for those small businesses. And then the contract with Republic Services for trash and yard waste includes all single-family homes, and that's all units up to 4 units. So it could be a duplex and so forth, but not the multifamily homes. That's still under an open hauling system where those apartment complexes, while they're covered by the city's recycling program, they can contract with a separate hauler for trash. And then they offer yard waste subscription, so it's something that someone can purchase in addition to their trash hauling. And they service city facilities and parks, similar to the recycling program. And then under the contract, they also cover the city's spring cleanup, which is held once a year, where we take in bulky items, usually at Aldrich Arena. And also the fall cleanup campaign, which is something, while they offer curbside bulky item collection year-round, this is a way of offering it at a reduced price throughout the month of October. So with both of these contracts now, they're under the same time frame. When we drafted the new contract back in starting in 2020. So they're both 5.5-year contracts. They run from January 1st of 2020 to June 30th of 2025. So we're right in the middle of those contracts right now. And then in the contract, there are certain requirements, one being an annual report and the work plan. And there's certain items that we like to see in that annual report, which are kind of identified in your staff report. And then basically, like tonnages for the trash, for the recycling, types of materials collected, the number of accounts, the number of carts that are out there. So there's a whole host of information that it's very valuable for the city. So that's included in the annual review or the report. And then yearly, we draft a work plan, and what you'll see tonight is a draft plan that I drafted with some guidance from our haulers, but we'd really like to get your feedback on that, on how you've seen the program working over the year and how you can possibly see some improvements. So the work plan would offer up some ways that the haulers could assist the city of Maplewood in making improvements in our program, and that's something that they'll work on throughout the year. So I'm going to start now rolling into the recycling portion. And Tennis Sanitation, they put together a great report every year. And in the report, first of all, I wanted to mention kind of a summary of last year's work plan. So I'm going to highlight a few things that Tennis Sanitation helped us work on last year. So they have great labels on their recycling carts. Tennis Sanitation supplies the carts for our program. They're those brown carts with the orange lids. And then on the top of the lids, there's great labeling with visuals on what you can recycle. And what we had noticed was Tennis did a great job trying to collect additional items. And for a while, they were collecting plastic bags, which was a product that for a while could be recycled. And unfortunately, that company that was recycling those bags went out of business, and now it's not something that can be recycled in this residential program. You can still bring plastic bags, to the retailers such as Comm or Target, but unfortunately, you can't put it in the recycling container anymore. And we had some labels that were indicated that you could recycle the plastic bags. So we had asked Tennis to make sure and do like a cart audit when they're out with the drivers to review those labels, make sure they have accurate information. And the ones that did have the information on the bags, they put a corrected label on that. So they spent the year kind of doing that for us. Rollout of recycling carts to households with no carts or personal carts. So that was strange. I didn't really realize. When we did a cart audit a few years ago, we determined that there was still some individuals using personal carts, which I guess maybe that's okay. But, we'd like to see them have the rolled cart with the wheels and so forth. So Tennis Sanitation identified those and worked with those households to roll out the Tennis Sanitation carts, which Tennis does offer those carts in 3 sizes, 35, 65, and 95 gallon. So people have quite a choice there. And then yearly, the city of Maplewood is required to work on this agreement with Ramsey County for our SCORE funding, which is money that we get from the legislature, the county gets, and then trickle it down to the cities to help improve our recycling programs. And so we always like to work with the hauler to make sure that they're aware of that agreement and what the city has to do. And a couple of the items that were in that agreement we worked on with Tennis. One is working with multifamily properties that were not recycling at all. We did an audit and found that there were 3 multifamily properties that, for some reason or other, their recycling carts had to be pulled because of extreme contamination. People just weren't recycling. So we worked with the county and their program called Biz Recycling, where they will go out and work with multifamily properties and offer technical guidance on how to improve recycling in those buildings, and then they also offer up grants up to $20,000 for these multifamily homes to make improvements. And I've seen these grants cover things like, the recycling dumpster enclosures, the fencing, cameras to monitor for illegal dumping, so it's a really great program, and it's all available to any multifamily home property in Ramsey County right now. So we partnered up with Tennis and Biz Recycling and the city, and we were able to get 2 of those multifamily homes to date up and running with recycling again. So that's a huge accomplishment. And then updates to the yearly multifamily recycling letters. Tennis Sanitation does a great job notifying the multifamily properties about, how much they've recycled throughout the year and the various products and so forth. And this year we requested that they add information on that Biz Recycling, which of course is a great program. So that's a couple of the items that Tennis Sanitation helped us work on throughout the year. So they did a great job in that. Now moving on to that recycling report that I indicated earlier. So from the information, I just pulled a couple key metrics here, and we're comparing just from last year. So the average pounds of recycling collected per month in each single-family home, and you can see that decreased a bit from 2021. We're at 41.20 pounds. That's the average recycling. And then for multifamily, again, decreased a bit at 9.76 pounds. And then that kind of carries on to the annual net tons of recycling. So for single family in 2020, it was 2,802.21 tons, and that's all the homes together, throughout the year. And then the multifamily, 249.21. And, maybe Tennis has some ideas on why we're seeing that decrease, but my assumption is that, now that we're out of the pandemic, more people are, going to work. The products that we're recycling, are not as thick and so forth, not as much. So that could be one reason. And then the businesses and churches, right now we have 27 that have opted into the city's recycling program, and they are recycling at 22.39 tons for the net recycling throughout the year. And then again, this is a draft of the work plan I included in your staff report, and I'm going to touch on a few key things. And one thing, and this doesn't happen very often, but unfortunately there were 3 instances in the winter season 2022-2023 where we had some bad snowstorms, and there was a postponement of just the trash hauling, but Tennis Sanitation was not postponed, so the recycling continued on. So we really want to work at having a better system at communicating to our residents if that does happen, where just one of the haulers is delayed and the other one's not. It causes some confusion. People that get the notice that it's delayed, they don't put their carts out, and then, you can imagine it just causes a lot of confusion. So that's one area that we want to work with both haulers on this year to make sure we have a better system. Right now, Republic Services has the ability to do the call 'em all to their customers, because of course they do the billing and they have all those details, where Tennis Sanitation does not. So, we only have one hauler with that capability, and communicating for both haulers is challenging. So that's something we'd like to work on. And then cart inventory and cart delivery standards. When we entered into the contract back in 2020, the city of Maplewood was considering purchasing carts for our recycling program, similar to what we have now for trash hauling. And then there was also an alternate proposal where Tennis would supply the carts. And in the end, it was the Tennis supplied carts that made it into the contract. but we never had a cart management plan per se, or any details on how the carts are managed. And I'm finding just a few little things that come up. First of all, I'm not, now that tennis offers up 35, 65, and 95, when they rolled out the cards back in 2014, it was just a 65 for single-family home and a 35 for townhomes. And now people are switching, and I don't think we have a good handle on the number of 95-gallon carts out there versus the number of 65. And I think all those details are important, especially as we move forward with our pay-as-you-throw trash hauling, to see if it has an impact in increasing recycling and reducing the trash. And then the cart delivery standards, while Tennis does a great job, there's no language in the contract that says you have to deliver within a certain time frame, where in the trash hauling contract we do. And sometimes when someone just moves in, usually the cart's left behind and it's not an issue. But on occasion there's no cart, or if we do get an occasional new home, delivering that cart before the next recycling day so that person can use the cart for the recycling, just kind of coming up with maybe a better process for that. And then assist the city with the 2023 SCORE work plan, and a big thing that they're promoting again, the Ramsey County, is their biz recycling program. So they want all the cities to promote that. And a great way to do that, and Tennis has been very helpful in this already, is when we're meeting on site for a recycling need, also calling in that biz recycling expert too. And Tennis now, they offer up to multifamily homes recycling dumpsters in addition to recycling carts, whereas under the old contract it was just carts. And now we're seeing the larger multifamily homes, not wanting to put out 20 carts, during the day for the recycling day. So they're converting to the dumpsters. So we'll go out there and have this meeting and then bring biz recycling with us. So it's a great marriage of, combining interests. So that's one thing we want to work with Tennis on, is making sure that they're promoting that biz recycling. And then every year now for many years, Tennis and Republic Services have been participating in this fun event, Touch a Truck. All the kids love it. Giant fire trucks and trash trucks and recycling trucks. So we would ask that they attend that again this year. So let me just make sure I have my last slide here. Yes. So then we would move on to trash hauling. But before we do that, I would like to stand for questions on the recycling, and then also call up our representatives from Tennis to introduce themselves and answer questions.
Thank you very much, staff. So are there any questions or comments on the work plan or what has been presented so far this evening?
No, for me.
Okay. So then I will invite our guests from Tennis Sanitation just to come up and share their thoughts and how they are, what their plans are for 2023.
Good evening, Commission. I'm Willie Tennis. My brother Greg and I own Tennis Sanitation. And this is Alex. She works with us. And she takes care of most of the reporting, especially for the city of Maplewood. And so this was her first year of taking that on. And so if there are any imperfections, well, let's say, it's because she's new. But she does an excellent job, so I'm pretty sure things are good to go.
Thank you.
And I don't know, yeah. Michelle was talking about that biz recycling. That has been working out very well for us, because it used to be the city and us would go and we'd kind of come up with a game plan and help people out. Well, now with biz recycling coming in and offering the grant money and stuff, it makes it easier to get stuff done to increase recycling at these multifamilies. So that is, they're a really good fit. Works out very well.
I I'm just thankful for the service that you are providing within the community. And I'm curious, this is just my own personal interest area, in that, are you looking at expanding opportunities for electronics recycling within the community? Is that an option that you're thinking of, or will people still have to go search out other sources for electronic disposal?
Yes, I can't say that that's been a big demand on our side of the business. Because, well, I guess we're mostly in Washington County, and then they have a hazardous waste center that people can bring it to. And I'm unsure if Ramsey has one also. I guess I'm not 100% sure.
I know Ramsey County residents can drop at the Washington County.
Oh, they can?
Yes.
Oh, okay, all right.
And
So, yeah.
Madam Chair, I also want to point out, under the contract with Republic Services, they will collect the electronics curbside, so it's kind of conflicting contracts, so we don't want the two combining. But Ramsey County, they are also building a brand-new environmental center, similar to Washington County Environmental Center, where people can bring the electronics for free. And right now, they're partnering with Powered, I think is the name. So they offer that service too. So, but yes, currently under our solid waste program, it's Republic Services that would handle the electronics.
Along the same lines, I would ask about styrofoam and soft plastic. I know soft plastic can be made with regular plastic to the grocery store. Along the same lines, I would ask about the soft plastic and styrofoam. I know soft plastics can go with, just plastic bags to the grocery stores, but styrofoam is something that everyone who gets an Amazon package has styrofoam to recycle, or it does go into a lot of the landfill. Is there any options for trying to expand styrofoam recycling?
Unfortunately, that's a very, very tough one. Because the way it works for the recycling, like with all our other plastics and cardboard and paper, all that, you have to have 40,000 pounds on the truck in order for it to be worth the vendors to come and pick it up. And with styrofoam, there's no way you get anywhere near that. And there's nothing local that we could take it to. Everything is out of state. So it's a very, very tough one. And like Sean was talking about the plastic bags, we had a company over in Plymouth area. They were trying to convert the plastic bags back into crude oil, which they could then turn it into the diesel fuel. But unfortunately, they couldn't get it clean enough, and so it didn't work out. But they approached us, and I don't know, I've been in the business so long, I try to recycle as much as we can, and that's why we take more items than any other company. And so that's why we jumped on the plastic bags, but yeah, didn't work out in the end. So what Sean was saying is we're now putting decals on the carts next to our in mold one already that says no plastic bags, no styrofoam. And so just trying to make the product cleaner when it comes to our facility.
Any other questions or comments? Commissioner Redmond.
I've got a couple. So first question is just, so the sort of slight dip we're experiencing over the last couple of years in terms of recycling compared to total waste, is that something that, are you seeing that kind of consistently with all the communities you're working with, or are we a little off standard here? What are you seeing?
Nope, it's pretty much everywhere. I mean, part of it was COVID. People were at home more, and so they had more recycling at home. But then also, I think people are well aware the newspaper is getting thinner and thinner all the time. And then the aluminum cans, they're actually making those a little thinner, and same with the plastic bottles. So you start adding up all that little decrease, and that drops the tonnage down.
So it may not necessarily be that we're recycling fewer items, but that the items' total weight is less.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Correct.
So the other question I've got for you is, I hear all sorts of different input about our recycling industry is super busy, our recycling industry is not so great, there's a great market for recycling, there's not a good market for recycling. What are you experiencing? Are you finding a good market for the materials, or, and what do you think might be happening into the next couple of years?
Well, our experience in being in recycling, it's like riding a roller coaster. It is up and down, up and down. It has been since 1990 when we first started recycling, and I do not see a change. We're very fortunate. We have pretty clean product. We never had a problem of getting rid of our materials.
Okay.
And, you know, unfortunately, sometimes the price isn't the best, but again, it's just like riding a roller coaster. So we go along for the ride. There's a good and there's a bad, but overall, recycling is definitely a good thing for the environment.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, that's good.
I have one more question. And when you say get rid of the materials, where do they go? We always hear that, you know, our recycling doesn't mean anything because it all goes into the ocean anyway. We sell it to China and they dump it in the ocean. Where does our recycling go?
Well, that's another, I'll pat ourselves on the back for our company. Most of our material does not leave St. Paul, Minnesota.
Excellent.
Our glass stays here, our tin, our aluminum, paper, cardboard.
Yep, it all stays.
And the only
pretty
thing
much
that we
here.
ship out is our plastic. And
Which usually stays in the Midwest anyway.
It does,
so,
okay.
Yep.
That goes to
Excellent.
Iowa and Green Bay.
Okay.
Well, I just thank you for the opportunities that you are offering to the community for recycling, and also just the massive expansion of things you are taking in. That is wonderful. So thank you very much.
Yes.
So,
Thank you. Enjoy your evening.
okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So it'd be great if you hung around, because we might have some follow-up.
Yes.
Excellent. So now we'll move on to our trash and yard waste portion of the show. So we're going to start with Republic Services 2020 work plan, and I'll summarize a few of those items that they helped us with. So a big push now with the county is collecting organics or food scraps curbside, and the trash haulers will be a key player in all of that. So you may have heard the plan is to have people opt into the program for free, and then you get these durable compostable bags that you would put all your food scraps in, and then at the end of the week you would roll it up and place it on top of your trash cart. So then the hauler will bring it to the Resource Recycling and Energy Center in Newport, where all the city of Maplewood's trash is taken and somewhat sorted and burnt for energy. But also they will sort out that organics bag then. So they'll tip it, and then it will be sorted right there. So we're preparing for that in 2022, and then we'll continue that with this year's work plan I'll mention in a moment here. But a big thing that Republic Services helped us with, and this has been a challenge since that first contract when the city organized trash hauling back in 2012, and the contract back then started in October. So we had this billing that started October, November, and it was bi-monthly billing. And then December, January, so you see it jumped the year. And so that just continued on year after year after year. And then every year it was just a bit of a challenge. You know, you'd create these new rates based on the contract and the new tipping fees with the county and so on and so forth. And you'd have to present those rates to the residents, but you're like, oh, but this bill is still going to have half your old rate and half your new rate, you know, and it just caused a lot of confusion. So Republic Services took the entire city and all the bills that they have to send out, and for 1 month lumped it into just a 1 month bill, and then continued on with the 2 months. So now, moving forward, we're going to have that trash bill changing over January, February, rather than straddling that year. So that was a a big thing to do for Republic Services and all those bills. So that worked out really well. And then another big item, this Net Promoter Score is something that's new in the contract for this particular contract. And it's a way of kind of analyzing customer service for a business, really. It looks at a lot of different variables. But what we saw was maybe we just wanted a little improvement in that customer service. So Republic Services over the year, they did a great job at, and I apologize, number one, they hired additional staffing. They created some customer service pods, because it is a large conglomerate of customer service representatives out there, right? So when you call, that person might not be 100% familiar with the contract, but they pull up the system and there all the information is. So we wanted to make sure all that information is accurate and correct. And so Republic Services has been doing a great job at making sure all the information for those representatives are accurate. So that was 2022. Then Republic, of course, also submits the yearly report with the various metrics. And so we'll compare again 2021 to 2022. And overall trash for all of the single-family households in Maplewood, 8,546.99 tons. So you can see that decrease in the trash, just like we saw with the recycling. So it does seem to kind of play into that. More people are working at work now rather than at home. The bulky items, and here's where we get at those electronics and the pieces of furniture that you can't use anymore. So Republic, under the contract, they offer curbside collection. You just have to call and schedule that, and it's a fee, ranging from $10 to $30 plus tax. So this year they collected 1,173 units. So I think we were doing this in tonnage, but it kind of made more sense. So now we know, there was 100 air conditioners, and there was 1,000, TVs. So this way we're under units. The yard waste, again, this is a service that residents can opt into. You contact Republic Services and you subscribe to that for the year. It runs from April until November, and they collect your yard waste once a week in a cart that Republic supplies. And this year they collected 564.82 tons of yard waste in the city of Maplewood. And then the number of accounts, that fluctuates slightly depending on, people can temporarily opt out, if they're like snowbirds, things like that. But generally, we always kind of range around that high 8,000s. And so right now we're at 8,884 accounts, and that's for the single-family homes. And then townhomes and manufactured homes, when we organized the trash hauling, the city of Maplewood realized that these neighborhoods already likely had contracts with trash and recycling trash haulers, because they were covered by recycling previously. So it was determined that the contract would allow them to opt into the city's program, but they could also, if they had already done so, they can continue to contract with an outside hauler. And so to date, after year 7, we have about 99 accounts that have opted into the city's program, and I think there's plenty more that could, a couple thousand. Permanent exemptions, in the solid waste ordinance, we do allow residents to opt out of the city's trash hauling program because we know there's a lot of special circumstances. For instance, if you own a business where you have a licensed hauler collect your trash, you can opt out of the program because we know you're bringing it responsibly to your place of business that you own and have the trash hauling there. You can self-haul if you need to. There's a couple people that do that they really just don't have a lot of trash, and what they do have usually self-haul to the resource recycling center. It has to be a licensed facility, and they have to kind of prove where they're bringing it. And then the other way you can opt out is if, and this was kind of built in for maybe you had a neighbor who one elderly woman, as an example, that didn't generate much trash, and you always allowed her to use your cart, you know? So if you share a cart with someone and they have a licensed hauler, you could opt out. And there's a small fee. But we've been running about the same since we organized trash hauling. But it's been decreasing now over the last few years. It was about 200, now we're down to about 145. Walk-up service, so this is a great service offered by Tennis and Republic Services. So if any resident has a physical inability to bring the cart down to the curb, you can leave it at the garage, and the hauler, the driver, will walk up, collect the cart, tip it, and bring the cart back up. So that's a really nice service. And right now we're at 48 walk-up services. And then yard waste accounts, we're at 1,412 residents that have opted into that yard waste program. So now keep in mind, this is a draft and up for discussion. But for 2023, a couple key things I thought Republic could work on. Number one, we know this will be rolling out. Maplewood is lucky enough to be one of the pilot projects in Ramsey County. So households in South Maplewood, I think south of Highland, they'll start getting communication about this in April, and then I think they can begin mid-April or May, something like that. But it'll be this pilot program for this curbside to see how it works, and then the county will slowly roll it out to all other areas of the county later in the year and in 2024. But Republic will play a key part in that as they're collecting the trash. Again, this communication of postponements, similar to the tennis situation, when we have the haulers, one cancels, the other doesn't, just making sure we're getting the right information to our residents. Audit of households with dual carts. I was noticing in the list of the number of carts we have, that's not a lot, but there's a couple hundred households that some have 2 35 gallons, some have 2 65 gallons. There's some that have 4 95 gallons, and maybe that's like a group home or something, but I think it's worth kind of examining what's going on with those dual carts. Like maybe they just need a recycling cart, I don't know. So doing a kind of an audit of that and seeing if maybe it's an opportunity to offer up a different size. And then tracking cart size on volume switches. So they do talk about the number of residents that have opted to switch a cart. But if we're able to get a better handle on are they switching up or down, that'll give us information similar to the recycling cart audit on how we're doing with our pay-as-you-throw. So if we're seeing more people switching downward, it's probably a good indication that the pay-as-you-throw methodology, which is having more variation in your cart size. When we started the trash hauling program, the price variation was like maybe $1 or $2 more for each cart. And so slowly and surely, what we're doing under the contract is we're able to use the component of the just the tipping fee portion of the rates to make some slight adjustments. So now the 95 gallon is not just $2 more than the 65. It's it's increasing. So there's more variation. And so we're hoping with that, it'll make people look and go, wow, maybe I'll go to a 65 and I could probably get away with that because I'm paying less. And then events, the spring cleanup, which is in the contract, and this year it's April 22nd, and touch truck event, and then fall cleanup campaign. So that covers the trash hauling. So once again, I will stand for questions from the commission, and then would ask that you invite our guests from Republic Services.
Thank you very much, staff. Are there any questions that any of you may have? I'm looking at Commissioner Redmond. Not yet? Okay. So I'm going to invite our representatives from Republic on up here to just come share.
Thank you so much for having us this evening. I'm Bev Mattison, and I'm the Municipal Services Manager.
And I'm Samara Halata, I'm the Municipal Administrator.
We're really excited about trash. We really are, especially with the program that we have here in the city of Maplewood. You know, to be able to be part of this program and see that we're diverting as much material as possible from our, landfill or burner to recycling is really exciting. Shauna's kind of given you all the highlights of what we're doing. I know that Samara and I, our finance team and billing team, along with Sean, worked really hard to get that billing cycle fixed. And it took a lot of effort and a lot of good communication to the residents. I'm happy to say we got very few calls. And I know, Sean, you said that it was pretty seamless on your end, too. So that was really very successful, and we were really excited to get that done. It did, I think, really reduce customer confusion, resident confusion, when they get that first bill of the year. We are so excited about the food scrap program, aren't you? Oh, with the pilot starting up here in April, we're just really thrilled to be part of that. Maplewood, as Sean said, there's a section of Maplewood, and we have several other cities that are involved in that pilot where we're hauling right now as well. So super excited. Samara, anything you'd like to share?
Can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Okay.
We're excited that our score for MPS has gone up significantly, and it keeps going down. Our calls are trending way lower, so in terms of speed to answer, so that's really exciting, and it's continuing to go down.
And with that, in this last year, we did introduce the pods. We have a Minnesota pod. Minnesota is very unique when it comes to trash and taxation on trash. In several other parts of the country, there is no taxation. So when you go from a call center model, now we have pods, and we have a Minnesota pod who really understands the uniqueness of the trash programs here in Minnesota. So that has really improved our customer experience. And that was just done here in 2022.
Thank you very much for being here this evening. And are there any questions that Commissioner Redmond?
I just got two easy ones. The first is, so the pilot food bag, have you done any of those yet, or is this going to be all new?
Food scrap or organics recycling is not new to Republic Services. We do offer this service subscription in other areas of Minnesota, in the metro area, along with, like this cart. Most of it's carted service. So we've got a lot of experience in this. We're excited about this program because we haven't, generally you have to have the separate cart. What Ramsey County is doing with their new program is that separate bag placed on top. So I think there'll be more participation.
But is that, will that be new to you guys?
Actually,
that
no,
strategy?
not entirely. We acquired Randy Sanitation a couple years back, and they had what they called the Blue Bag program. Some of you may have heard of that. Very similar.
Okay,
It was a commingle.
cool. It'll be great to see how that goes.
Yeah.
Follow-up question I actually hadn't thought of. So what will happen to the food scraps that you do collect? Where are they going to go?
We take that, we tip it. We've been given the instructions from the recycling and energy facility where we take the trash. They will sort it at this point. We're just literally, instead of rolling up to door A or whatever door that is, specific doors that are designated for the pilot cities. So if we collect in a pilot city, then we take it to this door to tip the material where it's sorted then.
Do you know what they're going to be doing with the food scraps?
That I don't know.
Okay. The last thing I've got for you is just one of the potential action items was, how did you word it here, Sean? Year-end report improvement. It's a lovely report. I have one little request. In the previous years, especially last year's in particular, there's a year-end trash roll-up, which is sort of like this slide that Sean had. It's just got the quick little sort of, it's a quarter page. You see all the stats really up front. If at all possible, getting that back in the report in the future would be really lovely, because that's a great place to really get a sense of what's going on.
Sure.
So-
No, we appreciate that feedback.
So I also have a couple questions. Super excited about the organic recycling program to start in Maplewood. Currently, we do our own organic recycling and we bring it up to the yard waste site. Part of that is we have the smallest garbage container as it is now. So we will probably have to go to a larger garbage container if we are going to be putting it in the garbage container. Is that something you foresee that potentially might happen for people? Is that they'll need to use a larger garbage container then if we are going to be putting all of our, I mean, because we usually have 1 or 2 garbage bags of organic recycling that we take up to the yard waste site.
I'm not really sure on
Okay.
that one.
Yeah, 'cause
we'll
that-
have to see. I think sometimes what happens too is people really adjust the way they buy. Also, if there are a lot of food scraps, are these food scraps that we can, that we can reduce? There is an opportunity that since it is going to be there, you might need a bigger size. I think what we're going to see more than anything, though, is, more reduction.
Okay. Yeah, because right now we have the smallest container and we don't even put it out every week because we have hardly any garbage as it is.
Then you're likely going to have plenty of room.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
And then in our quest to not use plastic bags, we put our garbage in compostable bags right now. So that we'll have to switch back to regular garbage bags. Is that true? We won't be able to use the compostable garbage bags for regular garbage anymore.
That
Which-
you would probably want to check with the county on.
Okay, because that would then be, they would take the regular garbage as compostable garbage. Is it?
Well,
would-
the organics bags are different than plastic bags.
Correct, right, yeah. We put all of our garbage in, all of our
Okay.
garbage goes into a compost. We're trying to
Okay.
not use any plastic bags at all.
Wonderful.
But we wouldn't be able to do that, correct?
That's a
Madam Chair,
good-
I can help out.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
First of all, they're special bags. The food scraps will go in. They're durable, compostable, and they're, highly identified.
Okay,
So you can continue to use a
Okay.
compostable bag for
Alright.
your trash.
okay,
Yes, you can.
hopefully.
And then, because, these durable bags, they don't fall apart, when they're tipped, which probably a compostable bag is, less durable. So, but yeah, we are learning a lot about this program as we move along.
Right,
But
yeah.
I did just get one of those bags myself, and they're real tough, and so it's a lot different. So I don't foresee that being an issue. And then the size of the cart, that's the big debate. But most people, if they are not collecting food scraps right now, the food scraps are going right into their trash, so it's just part of their trash. So
Right.
now it's going to be taking 20% out and putting it in this bag and putting it back on top. But rest assured, they are still offering the food scraps collection at the yard waste sites and the drop-off sites. But yes, it will be an interesting a study to see, especially particularly people, households like yours that have the smallest cart, that don't put any food scraps in there, will this durable compostable bag in the cart, cause an issue?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this all plays
It
out. I'm
will
super
be.
excited because like the recycling, where you can put everything in one cart, it's super easy. So this should make it easier to do the organic recycling. It should make it easier for everyone to do it. So very excited for this to start and begin.
It is.
So,
Can you come up to a different part of Maplewood and get it started out first, though?
yeah,
Any of us are in South Maplewood, are we? Yeah.
yeah.
Any other questions? Commissioner, yeah, well, go ahead.
Yeah, just to tack on the report improvements, I would love to see some more of the historical information. Maybe that's part of the year-end summary that you were referring to, but have a kind of a wealth of month by month for the past year for all the different categories. It'd be great to also be able to see some of the historical information for year-on-year comparisons. Make it easier.
And we
So.
probably have that on file here. We send
Okay.
in monthly and annually, annual reports each and every year. So I would imagine that would be fairly easy to obtain.
Okay. Thank you.
But certainly, we'll make sure that we give at least a few-year look back in the upcoming report, just so at a glance, it will be easier and more convenient for you.
Great. Thank you.
So I've got a dumb question. but I
There
need to
is
ask
no
it.
dumb question.
Oh, wait until you hear it, but, so, for the food bag collection, I'm assuming you'll be able to quantify weights, or at least have an estimate weight, what volume that makes up in terms of total trash collection?
I would imagine so.
Okay,
I think there's a formula for that.
okay, yeah, that would be great to have in the report also. So we can have a good sense as to kind of what's our organics collection portion going on.
Yeah, and that's something that, we'll have to work on, because we don't weigh our carts.
Yeah.
When we do audits, we can get a general sense of what an average cart weighs, and now we're adding on another dimension to that, so
Yeah.
we'll have to get creative and figure out how we're gonna calculate that.
Yeah, perhaps with the sorting that's happening at the drop-off location, maybe they can work with you as a part of the pilot to start weighing some, just to kind of start getting a rhythm going in terms of volume versus weight, because they'll probably be heavier than a lot of
I
the
would
other.
imagine that on that end of the project, that there would be some measure, some way of measuring that,
Yeah,
because they're gonna want that data.
yeah. And we'll want that data.
Absolutely.
Just so we can kind of track,
Yeah.
in terms of our annual GHG emissions, what that's looking like,
Mhm.
and, how are we reaching our goals, so that'd be great, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a good reminder for me to bring my trash out to the curb tonight. But thank you both for coming in and just being able to discuss the new exciting ventures that are going to be coming through and opportunities for our residents.
Yeah, we're excited. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So I believe there are two action items for approvals, one being approving the submission of the 2020, of the work plans for tennis sanitation, the other being for Republic. Is that correct, staff?
That is correct, and also making recommendation on the work plans. So, yeah, I would separate it into two motions.
Okay.
One for recycling and one for trash.
Yep. So is there a motion to approve the work plans and recommendations for the tennis sanitation plan? We had a fight.
I'll make a motion.
Right. And do we have a second?
I second.
Oh my goodness, your first one.
Woo-hoo!
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And then is there a second motion to approve the work plan and recommendations for Republic Services?
I can call the motion.
Oh. Let's do a second.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. So,
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. So I've taken really good notes, and we'll make some updates here as you suggested. And then this will go to our city council in some form in the next month or so.
okay. Thank you very much, staff. So just continue through our agenda here. Is there any unfinished business? Doesn't look like it. We have another visitor here with us. Is there anything you'd like to share, present? Invite you to come up here. Okay. And any commissioners have any presentations or any items they would like to share? should stop playing with that. Okay, well then, Madam Staff, looks like you've got a few things, including an update from when we last gathered. Is that right?
Yes, thank you. I have a few staff updates for you. So I wanted to report on the outcome of the March 13th City Council meeting. And during that meeting, we heard the City Council reviewed finally, the renewable energy ordinance, all the updates that the commission worked on over the last few years, including, the regulations for community solar gardens, for the community, or for the solar canopies, all of that, and the detail that we learned from SoulSmart. So I apologize for the delay and all that, but it was well vetted over the last year by our staff and city attorney. So we got it from the council, and they adopted it and thanked the Environmental Commission for your work on that. So that now is an actual updated ordinance. And then we also had the wetland buffer variance for 1910 County Road C, that overall development, the senior housing proposal on the corner of County Road C and White Bear Avenue. So the City Council did approve that development proposal, including the wetland buffer variance. And for your information, because of your feedback on the buffer mitigation strategies, staff worked with them over the month, and we were able to come up with some more detail. So they're doing all plugs within that buffer area rather than the seed. You remember that was a concern. And we were attempting to get them to work with either Ramsey County or the Watershed District on your great suggestion on working on erosion over that entire length, even though they don't own that portion. And they are under discussion. What does that mean? I'm not sure, but I think the conversation is there, so thanks for bringing that to our attention. So those two items were approved.
Be sure to let Commissioner Miller know about the updates on the County Road C project, because that was another one I know she is unfortunately not able to be here tonight, but she had concerns on that. So she'll be happy to hear.
Yes.
That the suggestions were taken.
Yeah. It's really important, I think, these wetland buffer variances. Unfortunately, we saw 3 last year, but that's because, all that are left are the challenging lots. But our ordinance makes it clear and does put in protections and some mitigation strategies, and with the commission's help, we make some improvements there. So thank you. Then an update on, I just kind of want to show you what's coming before us in April. So we should really do some goal setting. And we can either do that in a workshop before the meeting or during the meeting. And I'm looking at the meeting, and we don't have a lot on there, so maybe we could just do it during the meeting. We can discuss here. But we also need to do the election of the chair and vice chair. We usually do that in January. However, we canceled the February meeting, and we didn't have a full commission, so we're going to take a crack at that next month. The annual report, which we put together items that you worked on over 2022, and then that eventually goes to our council for review. And we like to include those goals too, so that the city council is aware of items that you want to work on, and basically authorizes that through the approval of the report. And then the project that we worked on last year with the Metro CERT seed grant, it was called Maplewood Clean Energy for All, and we have a report that kind of summarizes that work with the manufactured home parts and working on energy efficiency improvements, so we'd like to present that. So I would just like a little feedback on what you think about goal setting. Sometimes it's nice to, be in an environment where it's more intimate, you can sit, and, we could be in the Maplewood room. We would have to open it up to the public if anyone wanted to attend, but it wouldn't be videotaped. And then we would come in here for the regular meeting. So I would suggest maybe 6 o'clock that evening, well, 5:45. And then you start the meeting, you come in here at 6:45, so it's an hour long. So I'll just get feedback on whether you think that's a good idea to do it a workshop style or in the regular meeting, if you have an issue with timing, you know.
Have you been starting to prepare the agenda for the April meeting?
Just what you see in front of you.
Okay. Who knows what would come up between now and then?
This is probably it.
Okay. Go for it.
I was just gonna say I'm not sure if I'll be able to attend that, but if I were to attend the workshop portion, 5:45 would be a little bit early for me yet to attend. So
So the whole night is in question, or just the early portion?
the whole night is in question.
Oh,
but
I see.
If I were to attend, it would be easier for me to. Excuse me. The workshop portion would be later in the evening. It would be
Okay.
easier for me to get there.
So it sounds like that early time frame is an issue for one person, which means it's probably an issue for everyone, so, or it should be, because we want everyone to be there. So,
Is it April 17th Monday, or is it a Wednesday meeting?
they're always on Monday. Unfortunately,
Oh,
we had to reschedule this one,
Okay, gotcha.
but usually Monday.
Yeah, it would be, an early meeting that day would be an issue also for
Okay.
me. So,
Well, we'll just continue with the 7 PM start.
yes.
Yeah. With a light agenda, I think we'd be able to get through a good
Yeah.
amount of goals and then possibly carry things over into May.
Sounds good, thank you. Then, guess what's coming up? The spring cleanup. Yes. I hope the snow will be gone, but last year we held it in May because there was a mix-up with, you know how Easter, you're never sure where it's gonna fall? And I had it all scheduled for a certain date, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Easter is that next Sunday. Oh, that's not gonna work. So we held it in May. But this year, we're bringing it back to that usual date right around Earth Day. So it'll be Saturday, April 22nd at Aldrich Arena, and we work with Republic Services and then all sorts of subcontractors to collect items. But in the past, many of our commissioners volunteered, and I put the offer out to commissioners here. There's a lot to do. We have greeting people at the entry, you know, getting information on what kind of items they have, taking donations for the food shelf. There's some kind of internal traffic directions, things like that need to happen. And it's most busy between 8 a.m. to about 10 a.m. So if you're interested in volunteering, we'd love to see you out there. So I'll send an email with additional information on that. And then I wanted to announce No Mo May. So you may have seen the article by Councilmember Juniman that identified No Mo May, and a lot of cities are adopting, you know, a resolution in support of this. And the city of Maplewood, we do want to point out that there's likely better ways to support our pollinators, those being planting a variety of systemic pesticide-free native flowering plants or shrubs and trees. And so we just want to let people know also that just letting your grass grow is not quite the answer. But if you are participating in No Mo May, I think we have relaxed code enforcement during that month, and they do offer signage. You just Google No Mo May, and you'll see the actual program that's out there. And the City of Maplewood has a great information on our pollinator pages on how to support pollinators. And we're also looking at doing additional programs out at the Nature Center with our partners, the school district, on that. So just want to give an update. And the Waterfest is just around the corner. Now, this is an event that is put on by Ramsey Washington Metro Watershed District, and it's held at the Phelan Regional Park, and it's a huge event, and they invite us every year to have a booth, and we coordinated last year with the Friends of Maplewood Nature, and they're very interested in having a booth as well. So it's a real great opportunity for our commission to do some environmental education, because there's thousands of people out there. Of course, they're not all from Maplewood, but it's right on the border, so many of them are from Maplewood. And the date is June 3rd, and the time is 11 to 4. So we should start talking about ideas for a booth and what, we want to present. And maybe during our goal setting, we can kind of gleam in on something and hope that some commissioners are able to attend and able to help kind of create this booth, this educational material.
Just thinking off the top of my head, it's a little bit past the time of May, but if we really are promoting the No Mow May and pollinator support, then I would recommend focusing on pollinators as a topic for a booth.
Great idea.
Just out of curiosity, I can't recall, but how did last year's educational material go over?
Gosh, it was fun. We spotlighted our climate adaptation plan and focused on, what did we call it? Cool your yard or something like that. And Commissioner Miller and I were there, and we wore these cool sunglasses. And so, number one, we look cool. And then we had kind of a demonstration of a backyard and different products that, you could use to cool your yard, like comparing a dark-colored shingle to a light-colored shingle, comparing, your driveway or pavement to grassy area or a naturalized area. And we had kind of these hot lamps, which in the end turned out to be not such a good idea with kids around, but we look cool, trying to keep the kids away from the hot lights. But yeah, it worked out well. And then the Friends of Maplewood Nature were there for the first time. They, of course, are a nonprofit organization that their charge is really to assist the city of Maplewood and other naturalized areas, as well as our Maplewood Nature Center. So they had a great opportunity to talk to a lot of people. So it was a lot of work because Molly kept bringing in more and more plants. And the whole, don't touch the hot light, So it's nice to have more people there, but people enjoyed it. All right, well, we'll talk about more on that in April. And then finally, Earth Week Challenge, which is something the Park Department has been promoting. I don't know if maybe, no, I'll just read this. So for Earth Day, which is April 22nd this year, I believe, the week of April 17th to April 23rd, they're calling it the Plocking Challenge, so picking up litter while walking. Maplewood Parks and Natural Resources embracing Earth Week by challenging people to go plocking. It's a fun way to get outdoors, to be active, and do something great for your community. So take a photo of you, your group, plocking. Share your photo and location by posting it on our Facebook event page or emailing it to recreationonline@maplewoodmn.gov. And then all submissions that were entered by April 25th will be eligible for a prize drawing. But generally speaking, it is basically throwing on a pair of gloves, bringing a garbage bag to your local Maplewood Park, and picking up trash. And then once you fill those bags, just place them in one of the trash bins at the park. But make sure to take a great picture because we love to share that, and there's prizes involved. So April 17th through the 23rd. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, staff. And we've got lots to be thinking about and lots of ways to get involved. That's great. So it is now 8:15. Is there a motion to adjourn? Actually, do we have anything else? Oh, okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn? All right. And second?
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, so we are done at 8:16 now.